Hi, everybody. This is
We're live.
ACDC. So this is Araceli, transition financial specialist. I don't even know what I am today. And we have Colette. Colette, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Colette Rava. I am a residential real estate agent working in the GTA West. And together we make up ACDC, which stands for Araceli and Colette.
Dynamic change.
Yay!
So we're here just to give you some little things about real estate investing and finances. And today we're going to talk about a three-step plan to get you started in real estate. And I put this together because a lot of people have asked me, when is a good time? When should I start investing in real estate? And so I said, okay, well, how do I answer this question? And what I did is I put together this plan. So the step one is, first of all, yeah.
Well, do you want to share your screen with everybody? Because I know you have a little presentation that you did.
Yeah, but it's a little harder to see. I could do that. Let's see. Do you want to try it? I'm going to try it.
So Araceli is going to do most of the talking today, but because we're both investors in a little bit of a different way, this is where you come in. If you're ready at any stage of the game, just give us a call, ask us questions. We both happily answer these questions, and I love puzzles too. But anyway, so Araceli, why don't we get started?
It seems like a little bit convoluted when you want to get started. You don't know where to do that. So, but it's very, very simple.
Yeah.
But just don't forget, it's not easy. So simple versus easy, and I'll talk about it later, okay? Yeah. So the first thing is, so there's just 3 steps. The first one is to understand your current financial situation. It's so important to know where you are. And basically there's 5 stages. The one is survival. That means that you just finished maybe university, you're starting a job, or maybe you're starting a new business, right? Some people have gone through many transitions and they have to start over. Believe me, yeah. I had to start over.
Right. Well, like the one thing that both of us specialize in is women that are getting restarted after separation or some other hardship that they've had to transition into a new part in their lives. And, I don't want anybody to feel bad or to feel that they have to start all over again. You have one thing that's always going to stay with you, which is your knowledge and experience and your life experience. So Absolutely. Don't ever beat yourself up about having to restart and going back to stage 1. There are lots of people in that situation. So honestly, always feel good, always feel confident that you can come to us and just talk to us to say, okay, what stage am I at? I don't even know. So please, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Araceli.
That's okay.
But that's something that is very important to both of us because we've both been there. So I digress. Continue, please.
And that is why it's so important to understand your current financial situation, right?
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean that it's going to be there forever, but it's just where you are today. So the second one is stability. That means you've been at the same job for a couple of years. So your business now is creating some profits, right? Then you move on to the stage 3. Now you're starting to save money. You have a budget, you stick to it. Now you have a little bit of money put aside, right? Then the stage 4 is a growth. So now you're starting to invest. And stage 5, now your money is generating some income for you and you're ready to be financially independent. And all of these stages, you can get started in real estate investing, which is very exciting.
Go back. I love that little guy right at the top with the flag.
It's like, yeah.
So we all want to get there.
Correct. So the second step is you need to choose a strategy for real estate. You got to get yourself reading, talking to people that are doing it to find out what is it that you want to do. There's fix and flips, you have rent to own, you have hold and rent, you maybe want to do an Airbnb. Take a look and see all of the different strategies. And you also have to pick a target market. That means, are you going to do it here in the GTA? Are you going to do it maybe in Barrie, Windsor, or maybe you want to go to the US?
Well, and one of the other things too that's very important in step 2 is lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you want? Because being a landlord could take a lot of time, a lot of energy. Being
Absolutely.
an Airbnb owner also takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. So this is something that you have to be ready to fit into your life as well. If you want to be hands-off investor and just say, here you go, I want to be a silent investor, please take my money, that's possible too. So whichever way you want to do. So this is why strategy is so important. Talk to us. We can help you go through that. We can tell you what the differences are between each different kind of being a different kind of investor. And that way you can have that sort of plan in mind to say, okay, this is really what suits my lifestyle and what I want to achieve in my life, or at least for the next 5-10 years. And then we can talk about target market. That is very, very important too, because what you want out of that renter or that rental market, and what kind of tenant. This is what Araceli is talking about. If you say, I want to rent and I want to have very high-end renters, or I want to have corporate short-term renters, this is something that has to do with target market and what kind of a lifestyle you want to achieve and what kind of place you want to buy based on who's going to be the renter in that case. So anyway, go ahead.
That is all part of it. It just goes, the two of those go hand in hand.
Right.
Because obviously the property that you're going to acquire, it's going to have to be match up with the strategy that you're doing, right?
Exactly.
And step 3 is just to commit. So when you decide what you're going to do, just follow the plan and be consistent, because that is what is going to get you there.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, the difference, and this is the thing that we all, how many friends do I have? How many people do I talk to saying, oh, it sounds so good, I wish I could do that. I said, no. Dreaming and doing and having a goal, that's really the big difference. You can dream it, but if you're really serious and you really want to do it, you put a plan together. Like Araceli said, you get a strategy done, and then we help you commit to it, and we actually get the plan going and doing. So this is the thing that really the biggest difference that, I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about that, because there's so many people that say, oh, I would like to do it. It sounds really good. But then when it comes to saying, okay, let's help you make a plan, they're not ready. And we get that. That's okay.
But it's because they don't understand where they are financially,
uncertainty,
and they know what they can do. So I'm going to talk about each one of the stages to see what are the strategies that we recommend. Of course, it's obviously your choice, but this is what I would recommend depending on the stage that you are financially.
Well, and so then timing too has a lot to do with things.
For sure.
One thing that I find, if I'm not ready to do something, I will actually set up a plan to say, okay, I will revisit it and whatever, because right now, whatever the case may be, let's say COVID is holding me back from traveling, and I really want to travel. But this is the thing I can do before I actually get on the plane. I can start saving. I could start looking at destinations. I could start calculating how much it's going to cost me. It's the same thing for investing. So, sorry, Araceli.
That's okay. It all ties into what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, if you're in stage 1 or 2, which is survival and stability, so you're just getting started, you make sure that you have a stable source of income. So you have a day job, and make sure that you also have a budget that you're sticking to it, because you want to make sure that you have your basic necessities covered. That is very, very important, because it will take away a lot of stress. So at this point in time, that if you don't have a lot of money and you're kind of getting started with your job, I would really recommend that you read some real estate books, talk to people, do some networking. And if you're not ready to buy a home, if your space is big and you have an extra room, or you have the basement, right? What can you do maybe an Airbnb to increase your income? Maybe you want to work part-time at a property management company to figure out how they match tenants. So you can get involved, but not really involved. Maybe you can make a little bit extra money and figure out, is this for me, right?
Sure.
Do I really want to do this? You can manage and supervise remodeling projects.
Right.
for investors, right? So you actually do two things. You network with people, you help them out, and you help yourself knowing more about the process. Sometimes you can even find out that this is not for you at all, right?
Right.
There's also here to become a bird dog. And bird dog is one of the real estate lingos that we use for people that are actually looking for properties. You're not going to buy it yourself, but you're going to offer it to an investor that has money.
Right.
So you can partner with somebody and look for properties, help other investors get good properties so you know how they do the analysis. So it's very, it's simple, but it takes some time because you need to get to know people. You got to get some trust there so people actually want to work with you. So what do you think, Colette? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think it is, really, this is really a very basic kind of analysis that we're talking about today. So, when you get down to it and say certain things that any of these things that you really want to do, it really takes time. So when I tell people, when we talk about investing, there are mainly two things that you really have to think about. It's either time or money.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about, okay, I'm going to go and find myself a great property, I'm going to do it myself, that takes a lot of time. So you might save money by not using a realtor, but really when it comes to saying, okay, I really don't have the time because I have my full-time job and I have all my other things on my plate, I don't have time. So I'm happy to pay someone to bring me an investment to help me with that investment. Or to at least just find an investment. So I find with clients too, even when they're just home buyers, a lot of them go through the internet and they look at properties themselves and they bring me properties and I go, okay, great. But that's not just my job to find you the property. It's also to negotiate a great deal for you, to ask all those things that you don't even know that that's a possibility to ask for within that agreement. Other things too, like the things that you're not even aware of, how much your utilities are, how much, how are the neighbors, how's the neighborhood. There are reasons why you hire professionals if you don't have the time to do it yourself. So becoming a bird dog, for example, that takes a lot of time to go and find other investors, to ask them things. But really, if you have time on your hands, knock yourself out. You'll learn a lot. I'm always looking to learn something every day. That's just one of my life goals. I'm sure Araceli is the same way.
Yeah.
For example, if I have a home inspector that can teach me something, even after all the houses that I've seen and sold and seen all of the inside out kind of things with the house, if I have an investor if I have a home inspector that's good enough to teach me something, I'm very happy. I'm very happy to have that person represent my clients when they buy a house, regardless if it's a house that they're just buying for themselves or an investment. So things like that. What's that worth to you? Yeah. That, to me, if I have a really good referral, that in itself, they're not paying me any extra for my referrals for the people that I know. So if you want to go at it alone, keep all that stuff in mind, because really, if you're getting started, the biggest thing I can say is hire the right people, do your research on them, talk to them, let them go through. So before anybody even hires me, before I sign any piece of paper with anyone, we meet, we go through a house together, for example. I show them what I see. If you want to work with me, then we sign the paperwork. It's fine. I'm not chasing anyone. You want to work with me, I will show you my worth. Same thing with Araceli. She'll do the same thing. She'll tell you what she'll do for you, but in return, you have to realize that we are valuable and you will have to pay us for our time.
Yeah. And basically, this strategy is for somebody that is basically doesn't know anything about real estate investing.
And they want to learn.
Will give you a very good idea of what you like.
Right.
Maybe by becoming a bird dog, you're going to start finding areas that you will become an investor in that area, because you're going to become an expert knowing what to look for, right?
Sure.
So that's it. And of course, if you do have any questions about any of this, let us know. We can expand more.
Yeah.
So the strategy for stage 3, which is saving. So now you have accumulated some money. Maybe you have enough for a down payment. So what are you going to do? Just continue what you like from the previous slide. Maybe you want to continue being working with a property management company, being a bird dog, whatever it has you have decided to do. Maybe you can do a live-in flip. So that means that you're buying a property that needs some work. So you're going to move in and you're going to be working on it, whether it's yourself or you're going to be hiring other people to help you with it. But you're going to be in the house, right?
So the only bad thing about that, and with wholesaling as well, you have to know the laws, especially we're in Ontario. So the laws in Ontario are very, very strict. So when you do a live-in flip or wholesaling, you have to be really careful with your tax return. So please talk to your accountants before you do any of that stuff, so you know exactly what or how you can achieve those things without having to pay more tax. There are things like capital gains on properties if you get more than, let's say, one a year. So things like that you have to be aware of. So please talk to your professionals before you do any of this stuff. But these are just ways that you can start doing things quite easily.
Exactly, because you can accomplish two things. You need a place to live, right?
Exactly.
And if you are there and you're going to be, you're handy, or maybe you're a contractor, or maybe a contractor that is going to work with you,
right?
It will save you quite a bit of money because you don't have to pay your living expenses. You're there in the house, and then you have time to upgrade the house so you can sell it for more. Plus, it's going to appreciate if you're going to take 1 to 2 years to do this, right?
Right. And please don't buy the house that's upside down.
Yes.
I love that picture, but that's quite interesting. Yeah.
I put that in because it's house flipping, right? So you flip the house.
Yeah, not literally.
Not literally, right?
But yeah, that's a great image. Yeah.
Okay. So that is one option. You can, if you have enough money to sustain one property and have another property, then you can buy another property and rent it. Depending on the area and the strategy, you may want to do like a student housing. Maybe you want to convert it into an Airbnb or just a full-time renter. So depending on what you want to accomplish, depending how much down payment you're able to have, and you can talk to Colette and myself to do the analysis to see which option will work better for you, right? Yeah. The third thing here is to start wholesaling. And if you see, a lot of companies tell you that the best way to get started in real estate is wholesaling. To me, it is not a beginner's strategy, because in order to be a wholesaler, you need to know already target market, how to analyze a property, and make sure that if you're going to bring it to an investor, that you can tell them exactly how much it's going to cost to repair that property.
Right.
Those are not something that a beginner can do.
Well, and wholesaling in Ontario, in this market too, it really is. We have a very, very strong market in Ontario. So for you to find that magical unicorn house that will be sold to you for less than market price, there has to be a few things at play here. So unless you have all those things and that kind of knowledge to do something like this, I would sort of, as a beginner, stay away from that. But also, if you're just curious about what wholesaling even means, there is a strategy there. It is quite difficult to understand it and how to go about it. Again, we are 100% saying talk to your lawyers, talk to your accountants before you get started in any of these strategies. Talk to us, because there are things that you really have to keep in mind before you even get started. With real estate in Ontario, you have to, if you take possession or if you purchase something, you need to have a lawyer in place to do that transfer. So when you do wholesaling, there are little things, without going into detail, there are little things that you have to be aware of, legally speaking. So please, we're not telling you to do it on your own. Absolutely, at whatever stage you are, if you're a beginner or you know exactly how to do wholesale, you would know that you need a lawyer to have all the paperwork drawn up properly with the legal, terms in that document or those documents, and then that way you can actually do wholesaling not terribly hard. Just like a lot of real estate transactions, there are templates to be had to use and to follow. but you still need a lawyer to do any sort of real estate transactions in Canada. So
that's correct. And
just to say that.
also in the US, you also have to check the area, because in some places wholesale is not allowed. So you can't, you can get away with it kind of thing, you know, depending on how you structure the deal.
Yeah.
But you have to really know the laws of the place that you're going to be doing business in.
Right, but for the sake of this video, we really have to implore you that do not do any of this on your own. Make sure you talk to lawyers. Make sure you have the right people on your team to keep you legally safe. So, you know, that's one thing we have to say. You know, we're not telling you to go and fly by the seat of your pants and pay cash for things. You know, everything needs to have receipts. Everything needs to have a paper trail. We're not talking about any funny business here. This is all straight real estate investing, the right way to do it.
Yeah, and remember that this is a business. So as a business, you need to understand how are you going to make money and what is it going to cost you. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So that is for stage 3, which that means you have some money put away. Now, stage 4, you know, now you want to grow your network, and you maybe can do a couple of fix and flips at the same time, so you can get chunks of cash, right? So buy a property, repair it, and sell it. Now, at this stage, you're a little bit more advanced, so that means you already have a crew working with you. You already have lawyers that know what you're doing. You have a crew of contractors, and then you have a very good idea how to estimate the repairs. That is very, very important. Even though you're not going to do it, it is very critical that you understand what things cost. So you can have an idea if you're going to be making money or not, because surprises always happen in a property, something that you didn't expect to do. Now you're going to have to do it. And now this is going to eat into your profit. So you have to be very, very careful about how you estimate and have yourself a little bit of extra to make sure that you're going to have that profit at the end of the transaction, right? Because now, the sooner you can complete the transaction, the better. Because if you prolong that, then you're eating at your profit every single month that you delayed.
Yeah, and that's called carrying costs. Yep. So you always have to, whatever plan you do when you do want to fix and flip, it does take time. It's not going to be fixed in a day. To put it back on the market, it will take time. So in every area too, that's something that working with the realtor will tell you, you know, generally speaking, to say that the average time on the market or days on the market will be, let's say 30 days right now in my area. It's around the 30-day mark. So you have to have carrying costs. You have to pay the utilities. You have to pay the taxes on it. You have to mow the lawn. You know, all these costs come to play. It's not just, okay, I'm going to buy it, fix it, and then it's going to be sold in a day. There's also 30 days or 60 days closing. So that's another 60 days that you have to pay the taxes on. You have to pay the utilities on to hold it until the buyers actually purchase the property. There's also the other thing too, is to say, okay, I'm going to buy a property, let's say a new build. That's a whole other thing too. So that's a strategy. Lots of people would like to do that because they think, oh, I'll just have to put $10,000 down now, and then when the property is built in 3 years, then I'll put the rest of the money in. No, it doesn't work that way. Builders need chunks of money throughout the build. So over the next 2 years, how much is that going to cost you as far as, yeah, here's $10,000, but if I take that $10,000 and actually invest it into something else, it's going to grow X number, you know, whatever the percentage is. If I go to buy a brand new build and expect to sell it at the end of the build or closer to when it's actually finished without taking possession, that's a whole other strategy. So all these things make a difference. But when you're serious about, okay, back to step number 1, I know what I want to do. Based on my lifestyle, I want to be a silent investor. I will do a new build. So all these things make a difference. This is why you need people like Araceli and I to walk you through what kind of investor you want to be. So this is just a very general little video about what your possibilities are, what your potentials are.
Yeah. So this one is also gives you the opportunity to maybe grow your property portfolio, which if you decided to do rentals, right, maybe you have 2 or 3 rentals now that are producing and giving you some cash flow. So
Sure.
now you're understanding where you are. Maybe you want to jump into a multifamily situation from single homes. Maybe you want to do commercial. So those are the things that you got to start exploring at this point.
Right. And what other people are doing, how they're actually building their portfolio is by buying one property, having it fully rented, going back, getting it reevaluated by a lender. Then the lenders will say, okay, well, now you've created this much equity in that house. We'll lend you, or you can borrow this much money to go towards another property. And then that's how even people like you and I, we buy one property, then we get it reassessed. Then the bank will lend us more money because now we have collateral. So every house that you do that, that's how a lot of people grow their real estate portfolios. So that's something, again, this is a quick little video. We can't get into it too much.
Details. But also with that strategy, Colette, you also have to be doing another analysis of the property, because doing this, it seems like it's, oh yeah, this is super easy. I buy a property, I repair it, I rent it, and then I take some equity.
Right.
We're talking about sometimes 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years before you can actually do that.
Exactly.
The reason is because taking equity is going to increase your monthly payments.
Of course.
And you have to make sure that it's either going to continue to cash flow, or you're able to pay that chunk of money that you didn't have to pay now.
Exactly.
So all those things, you need to be very careful of doing that. Like taking money out of the property is not free money.
Of course, right. No, we're not saying.
It does change the strategy, because now you have to reevaluate the current property. Is it going to cash flow after I take some equity out?
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't, but it makes sense, because with the new property, then you're going to grow more. But you have to analyze it, and it goes back to the same thing. Are you financially prepared to do that? Right.
And know your numbers. That ultimately, that's really what we're saying. Whatever spreadsheet you're using, whatever pro forma you're using, as long as you're honest. And even when, like, Araceli and I have this little pet peeve too, because when we see listings sometimes and they include a pro forma with, what the income potential is, a lot of these investor, salespeople are omitting a lot of the information that you really need. Like either the taxes are incorrect, or they over analyze and say you can get, let's say, $3,000 rent when you do a little research, and really the going rent for the same type of property is $1,000. That's a huge difference. So these are things that we want you to be aware of. And when we talk to people specifically about this, we're very clear on, like there's no smoke and mirrors with us. Like we're pretty honest.
And that is, we're going back to being an expert on that target market that you decide, because the rents in Barrie are not the same that the rents in Toronto or in Mississauga.
Of course not, right.
You gotta know what rent you're going to be able to get in that specific location. Obviously, if you had that property in Toronto with Toronto rents, of course it would cash flow, but you're not in Toronto, you're in Barrie. So now the rents are different.
Right. And the other thing too is I find that a lot of, when people are just buying and looking at real estate, how many times do I get a text from someone to say, oh my gosh, look at this house. It's only $300,000. And it's like in the heart of Toronto. And I go, well, it's the list price does not mean the sale price. So if you really think it's too good to be true, it most likely is.
Yeah.
So, there are agents that use that as a strategy to get more eyes on the listing. So in cases like that, when a property, let's say in Toronto, a freehold house, even a small little bungalow that's a tear down is $1 million, and then they're listing it for $500,000, there's something there. They're just doing it to create buzz, and they're creating that big marketing thing to get multiple offers. So you have to be aware of that. And again, exactly what Araceli said, sometimes that happens in other markets. Let's say in Barrie, you do see a house that's 500,000. That might be the actual very close to list price. So that's the whole thing. Talk to the professionals if you want to do more research on the areas. I know it's a little bit hard to find, the prices that are selling in that area. That's what we're here for. I can easily look that up for you, and then really look at certain areas. And if I'm not the expert in that area, let's say Barrie, I don't sell in Barrie, but I know lots of other agents that are very professional and do income properties in Barrie. So call me. I can refer them to you, or you can refer, I can give you their names and you can speak to them directly. So don't always, just because I don't work in the area doesn't mean that I don't know someone who does.
That's correct. So that is for stage 4. And this is stage 5. So this is where we are all going and we want to aim at, which is that now you have a portfolio of properties, and now you're going to do analysis. Maybe you want to sell the low quality property, something that is not generating enough cash flow for you. You're going to start maybe paying some debt on all the properties that you have if you have mortgages, so you can have more cash flow coming to you. Maybe what you want to do is take some equity out of the properties and become a hard money lender. That is another buzzword for real estate. And hard money lender is somebody that will lend you money against a property without doing like the banks do. A lot of the credit check. We look at the property. And
you would also hear the term private lender.
Yep.
So this is the same sort of thing.
Yeah. And but just beware that because these people are not looking at your credit, they're looking at the property itself and see if it's a good property. The interest rate is high, and I'm talking about 10 to sometimes 24%.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you have to be aware. There's also another kind of pet peeve of mine that says, you can buy with no money down. You can have hard money lenders. Of course you can. If there is a good property, but take a look at how much it's going to cost you, how much it's going to eat out of your profit. Sometimes
and there's fees. Don't forget, there are fees too. They're not doing any of this for free. They're not doing it for their health. They'll charge you fees. So even though, you want to get a loan for whatever amount of money, or if you are a lender, if you become that hard money lender, there are fees involved for having someone put the deal together. So, most of the time it comes from the costs come from the lender, or sorry, the people that are borrowing the money. But really, to put it together, you have to expect that they're going to take out, either they're going to charge you by, they're going to tell the person who's borrowing the money, okay, you can get this 10% interest rate. They're going to knock off 2% to keep for themselves, and you're going to end up with 8%. So all that stuff has to be very clear at the beginning. Always have the paper trail. Always be sure that you will get your money back. So being on that other side of being a lender, you have to make sure you have the paperwork written and you're safe too, that you will get paid, and not like, oh, well, the money's gone, too bad.
Yeah.
You never want to be in that situation.
Oh, no, absolutely no. So it's the two sides, right?
Yeah.
Either you are the hard money lender or you are borrowing from a hard money lender. So the two things, remember, it is very lucrative when you can do it and you can trust the person that is borrowing from you.
Yeah.
However, the people that are borrowing from a hard money lender, it really have to be justified to have a really good property that is going to generate enough money to cover the fees, because as I said, it is not cheap. Right. And the last thing is to diversify it into other asset classes.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I've seen with people that invest in real estate is that they want to put all their money into real estate because, it's a little bit more lucrative than other things. But at the same time, diversification is, this is kind of like the financial planning talking here. You cannot just put all your eggs in one basket. Because
I agree. As much as I love real estate, you always, anybody who has any kind of money, of course they diversify. Like it's never something that you can say, oh, I'm going to just,
because, if there is a turn in the market and your entire portfolio falls down, then it's going to be hard to sell. Maybe you're going to lose money. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen. So it's always advisable to have a little bit of other assets that you can take and you get a hold of in the case that you need it.
Yeah.
Also, depending on where you are in life as well, maybe you're ready to retire. Maybe you're going to start selling your portfolio so you can start getting some cash to live on or just do vacation and so on, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So that's basically the 5 stages. I hope that they were helpful. And this is actually a quote that I love, because it says, everything is hard until it's easy.
Right.
So the more you do things, they become, a habit. They become part of you.
Right.
And when I got started in real estate, I knew nothing. I had a little bit of common sense, and I wish I had a little bit more help. I read a lot of books about it, and just kind of my common sense was to get somebody to pay for my mortgage while I was living in the house. That was kind of like my strategy at the time. And I did accomplish that, but there was a lot of lessons in order to accomplish that.
Right.
Because I was doing it by myself. And then eventually I started to meet people like-minded. And now I have my company in the US with a partner. And, the same thing, buying properties, like, there, analyzing the areas, and then knowing how to buy, where to buy. That was like, so difficult at first because we didn't know where to start.
Right.
And after you do one, then you do 2 and 3 and 4, and it's like, okay.
Right. Well, you remember a couple videos ago where I said, I need a t-shirt, like, don't be scared, be prepared. So that's one of my favorite sayings. The best antidote for fear is knowledge. So we're basically saying the same thing. Everything is hard until it's easy, but how does it become easy? You get the knowledge, you get prepared for whatever you think as much as you can. Learn about what you want to do. And that goes not just with investing. This goes for anything in life. That if you're going to have a baby, what are you going to do? You're going to read books. You're going to find out. You're going to ask other moms. You're going to ask your mom, how was it? So this is the thing that we all naturally know, that we have to prepare for what we want. So going back to setting a goal for yourself to say, okay, I would really like to do this. And it's not just, a pie in the sky dream. This is an actual thing that, okay, you set a goal. The main thing is to set a time too. So I actually just went through, I have my little, I got this for my birthday last year. I just want to share it. I don't know if anybody can see it. I know because the background here, if I do that. So I got this little book. Nice. An espresso thing. Don't worry about that. That's a bookmark. But this book is about where will I be in 5 years from today. So I actually got it for my birthday, which was, I think, 6 months ago already. And I started filling it out. And it's just really about setting goals for the next 5 years. And it's tough. It's really not easy to imagine yourself in 5 years, especially with COVID and what's been happening. To say, okay, well, I want to travel in 5 years. Yeah. Okay. Really? Okay. Sure does everybody else does too.
There's a lot of changes that everybody's going through right now. I think it's a good period, but it is kind of forced everybody to kind of step back and say, okay, what am I going to do now?
Exactly.
How am I going to generate more income now that, there's all these restrictions? So maybe you were affected greatly because your job needs to have human interaction. So now people are really making huge changes.
But this is the thing. So what my point was about showing that book was, even though, things might be on hold a little bit right now, this is the time to take for reflection on what you really want to create in your life. So if it is something about creating more wealth or creating this kind of, idea in your head that might just be an idea now to say, okay, how can I start my real estate portfolio? This is the perfect time to talk to us, to say, I'd really like to get started. Help me with my goals. What should I do? Because if it is just a dream, that's okay. We're not saying it's a bad thing, but if you really are honest with yourself to say, this is something that is achievable in 5 years or in 10 years, you got to start now. So this is why when I look at my little book thinking, okay, of course I want to travel. It might just be on hold, but there are things that I can do now to actually get my goal in the next whatever year when COVID, let's say, there are the travel bans are lifted and there is, they do start letting people travel again. Just in that situation, in that sort of you know,
But
theme.
it's the same with anything. And, you know, I've
That's
seen
my
so
point.
many people that want to say, well, how do I get started? And that's why
Right.
we put together this. It's very simple. And as I said, it's not easy because you
It's not
do have to
easy.
spend time, effort, and
Right.
all of it is like that.
Yeah.
And I really, one of my pet peeves is that you go to seminars and real estate and say, oh, this is so easy to get started.
Oh my God. And
Yeah.
people are charging like $40,000.
Oh gosh,
Like,
yeah.
Araceli and I, when we were off camera, we started bitching about stuff like that and going, this is ridiculous. Like, why don't they use it as a down payment? You know, so things like that. Yeah. Be very aware of that. And of course, you have to remember they're out there to make money as well. So even though they want to give you all this free advice and you know, guidance, it's really not free in the end. They expect something from you.
That's
and,
right.
you know, when it comes to seeing what the alternative is, you have people like Araceli and I. Yes, of course, we charge for our services, but we want to see you on a personal level achieve your goals. Those people, once you're out of that room, they don't care about you. Like, it's done. So yeah, sorry, Araceli.
Yeah, that's okay. That's exactly it. And what I'm saying is, if you think that by joining some kind of a very expensive program is going to give you that, you still have to do the job. You still have to do the work. You still have to learn.
You have to
all
know your
that
market.
learning curve, you can do it now. There's a lot of books out there on real estate. You can. There's a lot of people, realtors, investors like myself, that you can talk to us and we can tell you what we've gone through, so you don't have to go through. And I think that sometimes you do have to go through some things, no matter how many people tell you. But at least you have that knowledge beforehand. Before
Can
it
I tell you
happens.
one thing? Yeah. One thing that I'm laughing about it because it's something that people have told me about, but I didn't realize it for myself. There's so much information out there, like our YouTube. So we have a YouTube video too of a channel.
Yeah.
So if you want to see the past videos too, please follow. You can go to YouTube and find us on there. But the funny thing is, I think I was a comedian or something saying, oh, I have enrolled in YouTube University, because literally you can learn anything. If you don't know how to lay flooring, you want to learn how to lay tile. If you're going to buy an investment property, know how to stage it properly. Oh my gosh, YouTube is amazing. For stuff like that. So if you desire knowledge, go to YouTube and just type in, you know, whatever that you're looking for, and you'll probably be able to learn something. So, and follow us on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. Follow us there. But that is basically it for today. If you do have any questions, please let us know. If there anything else that we didn't touch up on and that you may have an interest, we're happy to help you. Remember, this is just a very tiny portion of what it is, but at least it's something that you can follow, that you can get started on. Yeah. Okay? Yay! And with that, we'll leave you, and we're going to see you next week. So thank you so much. We'll talk to you later, Colette.
Okay, you too. Bye, Araceli.
Bye.